Hello, everyone. This is Political Chit Chat, and I'm your host, Gonzalo Duran. Today's honored guest is Edwinna Herrera. She's running for Westchester Legislature, County Legislature.
Yes.
Edwinna, thank you for being here today.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Joining us from the other side.
Yeah, right. It's like a miracle I got here on time.
How was your trip from to the city inside?
It was pretty, I took the Grand Central. I looked like a tourist, when I was here, but it was fun. It was fun. I liked it. It's New York.
When's the last time you've been this down in the Manhattan?
Maybe about a year or two ago.
Oh, yeah, that would do it right there.
Yeah, that'll do it.
Well, once again, thank you for joining us. And for the audience that may not know who you are, could you give us a little information on your background?
I could do that. Yeah, my name is Edwinna Herrera, and I'm from Brooklyn, New York. I'm born and raised there, but I've lived in the Bronx all my life. 40 years I lived there. I raised my two sons there. I was a single mom, and I got married in the Bronx, and I love living there. But a couple of years ago, I moved to Westchester, but it's like about 2 miles away from where I live, but it's such a great place. I love the Bronx. I love a lot. It's so quaint and enjoying to be. I'm a retired NYPD traffic officer. I was there for 22 years, and I served New York City gracefully. Through all that we went through, good and bad, I enjoyed it, and it took care of my family. I ran for New York State Senator in the 34th District in Westchester, and I was proud to do that, and I'm doing it again. Right now, I'm running for district leader of New Rochelle, and I'm also going to be running, like you said, for a Westchester County Legislature in New Rochelle as well. And I'm a comedian.
No, I knew about the comedian part. I just found out about the legislative part. Now, district leader, different counties, different areas might mean different things. Because you said district leader of New Rochelle?
Right, New Rochelle.
Like the whole New Rochelle?
The 11th district.
Okay, there you go.
So I'm sorry I left that out, but it was 11th district. I'm still trying to figure out, all the semantics with district, the ED, all that, but I'm getting there.
Yes, and it's not easy. A lot of people think that it's a simple thing, but when you have a district line, there's a difference between the congressional, the Senate, the Assembly, City Council, and et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, and it keeps going on, and everybody has their own line and their own way they administrate how you run for these offices. And I found it to be one of the things that most New Yorkers should do. They should really get into to learn how their city really works.
So now, district leader in New Rochelle for number 11.
Right.
What does that entail? What are your responsibilities? What do you got to do?
Well, I just got the call today, but but I guess it entails, that you will have to make sure that people in that particular district are either voting, not voting, looking for ways to make the community and that district thrive, be more in tune, making sure that that district communicates well with that particular district, so things can things can happen for what the community wants in that particular district.
Okay, and what made you want to start that process?
Well, I was asked that, and I'm like, well, because there's stepping stones to this, and I really didn't understand that, and I'm like, okay, I'm in all this stuff, but what is the little things? And the little things do count. People might not think that they're important, but they are important. So how can I lead anybody or have anybody to vote for me if I'm not a leader, if I don't know the district? Just to jump in and say, okay, I want to run? No, you really got to know your district.
Well, I'm very fortunate that I've seen you speak in public. I saw your last campaign and your progress there, so I can honestly see why somebody would be appealing for you to be a leader in their districts and stuff like that.
Thank you.
Well, with that being said, now you have the legislature, Westchester. That's like saying that's a high position, right?
Yeah, it is. It's almost like running for senator.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now, why now?
Well, she's running you know, the person that's in the seat, and I give her all the respect, you know, she's been there since 2017. And quite a few things since I've been in New Rochelle, nothing's changed. The roads are still the same. Nothing new has transpired in New Rochelle, not in that particular district. And I've only been in New Rochelle like 6 years, but I understand the cosmetic part of the city. They're getting bigger buildings. They got the city of Yes trying to come in. It's the shelters. It's a lot of things that's happening in the Bronx is trickling into New Rochelle. And then apparently, or it looks like to me, it's like, it doesn't really care. You know, that's just in my view. That part of New Rochelle is starting to look like the Bronx. And I love the Bronx, but there's a certain decorum that we have living in Westchester. It's not to say they were bigger than anybody, but we just wanted that. It's a certain style, and it's a certain culture that comes with, you know, New Rochelle and Westchester. And apparently, I don't even know, I've never even heard of her until I wanted to run. So you don't even see her.
You bring a good topic, because I remember going to New Rochelle, and I think it was like where the theater is,
right.
where they have all they have a gaming section and everything like that, the arcades.
Yeah.
So that mall I've been to. When I went there, maybe when I came back from the service, like 10, 11 years ago, it was like more family oriented, but now it's more like, you know,
metropolitan.
It's a metropolitan, and so I can see that change right there. But you also mentioned something about City of Yes.
Yeah.
How would that affect going into Westchester?
Well, it's just so close to the Bronx, and we see that we got skyscrapers. I don't even know how they got there, but they're there, and you're looking around and you're like, okay, this is starting to look like Manhattan. Because I went to a meeting with the mayor. We had a meeting. They had an open forum, and I let her know, you're not going to do this to New Rochelle. Some people, like, you know, even Mount Vernon has that certain feel where it's just country. It's a country part of living in New York. And since it's so close to the Bronx, some people like that feel. But why are we turning this into that? I get they want the buildings, and we want the new people to come, and with the New York, you know, people from this place to come, New York, Manhattan. But there's got to be some type of limit. You know, we can't just.
Look, people like the way their little towns are,
yes,
and they want to keep it like that. It's understandable.
Right.
It's understandable. But now, you know, if you got skyscrapers coming up, you got more people, more cars, more businesses, and, you know, so there's always going to be that dynamics as well.
Right.
We need this, but we don't want that, and you know, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
How do you envision New Rochelle?
I envision it will try to become a city of yes. They just got a charter school just came through New Rochelle, which they was fighting for years and years.
Is that the first or something?
It's first.
Okay, so that's the first charter school.
It's the first charter school.
Okay.
So there is really moving pretty fast. But I don't believe that most New Yorkers, not people, the New Rochellenians, that they really don't want it. You know, they get that the young people want to come in and they want to do, you know, they want to have that feel. We don't even have a department store that you can buy clothing at, but you're putting everything else there. And then the people are coming, and you still now you have the issues with the mentally ill that are coming from the Bronx because they don't want to be in the Bronx. They can come to New Rochelle, and they can do all the little crazy things they do there, and they'll do it in New Rochelle. And I'm not knocking none of that because I've lived in New York all my life. I've seen the crazy come in, the crazy go out, but it's something that when you move in those little towns, you just want to keep that feel. So I'm hoping that I can get in there and remind the New Rochellenians, especially the older New Rochellenians, because they're aging out now, and the young people are not really too keen of having houses and, you know, shoveling snow, and so we want to try to keep the culture. How we can do it, I don't know, but we'll kind of figure it out.
Well, two things. One, I have never heard New Rochellians before, so thank you for bringing that. That's a new word. If I ever start writing a book or something, I'm gonna make sure I put that in there.
Yeah.
The second thing is, you know, with the City of Yes, you know, I'm a big proponent against it, because, you know, I think the single family housing is going to disappear because of it. Within a couple years.
Yes.
And it's affecting all of New York City, and I can see now it's affecting you guys over there as well.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm gonna fight it and even though it's there, what are your plans to do?
I'm going to fight it right along with you. Because even though I'm still in the county. I'm in Westchester County, you're in Bronx County. So we're still in the county. So something can transpire. We can't allow the governor, she lives in a gated area. We all know that. And the mayor, we all know, and even the mayor that's in New Rochelle, you don't hear nothing from her. She walks in and out and she's invisible, but she wants all these changes to go. And she doesn't really connect with the people that live in New Rochelle and the old timers. It's my seniors that I kind of have a deep compassion for because I'm a senior now, you know, and I want to live in my home as long as I can. I don't want to be shadowed over some building that's 20, like a mammoth thing that come in and take over my block, you know.
Yeah, and on top of that, there's no parking when you're around those places and you're looking up. I'm like, where do I park?
No, and then they don't want you to drive. I don't understand. That's another thing with this congested pricing. They believe that it doesn't affect people in New Rochelle or people in Mount Vernon and that part because we're very close to the Bronx. Any major highway we get hit. But then I have to pay now to drive on. It's bad that I'm paying high taxes in New Rochelle and Mount Vernon. Then I have to pay more taxes just to drive on the road. I don't want to go to the theater. I want to go see something. I got to pay to ride on the road.
So, from my understanding, is because when you're in this section of New Rochelle and you just go on the loop, and it's still it's still part of the county, but you have to pay.
You got to pay.
Go there.
Right. As soon as you come, if you're going on Shore Road, and as soon as you pass a certain section, when the circle that goes to City Island and all that, once you pass that circle and go to Shore Road, you're in Westchester County. So now I'm paying a different tax. Then I'm paying a tax to come into the city. Then I'm paying a tax to ride on the same road I'm paying.
You paid for all of it to be there too.
To be there, and that's the reason why the president and the people in charge of transportation are having an issue with this congested pricing because it affects all of us, especially the seniors. I want to ride. Maybe I don't want to be in the train. Maybe okay, I want to, but maybe I want to drive if I can still drive. Because some seniors are. But you want to drive down. I want to drive down, but I don't want to pay 3-4 times just to go to the theater. And I get down to Manhattan and I can't find parking. And I got a bike lane. I got a train lane. I got a lot of lanes, but there's no car lane.
Honestly, I'm surprised that they even let them pass. But I can, the other side is saying they want, less pollution, less traffic in that area, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah. It's never going to happen in New York.
We're still in New York, and then you mentioned Trump. Him just recently knocking it off. We'll see what happens if they fight it, and it comes back. Even though he said they took it off.
He took it off.
I don't know, like right now, if you went down, would they?
Oh, they still MTA is hell bent. It's hell bent in getting that 9 because what happened is a money grab, and we all know it's a money grab. And even though they did a whole lot of things to the president, which he's the president, he still loves New York. And he still thinks and he still knows that what they're doing to the middle class New Yorkers, we pay for everything, and now we got to pay for it because you want to put more money in your pocket. And Kathy Hochul knows she got to make a decision if she really, really wants to win next year, because this congested pricing might just bite her in the butt.
Well, I heard her press conference the other day, and she was raving, one, about how New Yorkers want this, New Yorkers want that. Well, first of all, Trump is a former New Yorker, and then two, she kept on saying something about, all the things that are, we're being, we have inflation, we have this, we have all these bad things, but, congestion being taxed more is a bad thing too.
It's a bad thing.
So, I don't understand the logic of what she was the point that she was trying to make, because once again, those two things right there, Trump is a former New Yorker, and you mentioned all these things that people are mad about. A lot of people are mad about this too.
That's right. It's really disgusting to a point. I used to work, like I said, I worked for the traffic department. I used to be a tow truck operator right here, right in this area. And we had to stay in the core. That was 43rd in the Garment District, simply because of the pollution. You're trying to tell me about from the 80s to now, there's not a lot of pollution in Manhattan anymore. It's a money grab. You can look and tell, because I did it for so many years. And back in the day, That's when the pollution was going on. Cars are not made that way anymore. So what pollution are they talking about? What they run the same old game they've been running since the 80s. It's pollution. Where? Every car that I drive a 2018, I don't have that many emissions coming out of it. You know why? Because every year they have me go take an emission test. Every year, not twice a year, every year. That's all of us are doing it. So how much pollution can be in Manhattan? Tell me. When everybody's on bikes, scooters, you know, there's not that much. So she's made this promise to MTA because Cuomo made this promise to MTA. This is a Cuomo deal.
Well, I can agree that the city has been cleaned up somewhat from what it was before. When I was a kid, you could walk down the street and see the little crack bottles everywhere.
Right.
So we've seen some improvements.
Yes.
I won't deny that. But, once again, if City of Yes has, for transparency purposes, we talked about the housing, but there's also ecological things behind it. And then the other thing was, you mentioned the garment district, it's going to open the floods for people to start businesses in certain areas that normally would not be there.
Right.
In my mindset, those bills, those rules, those laws were put in place so that we can avoid the things that we're trying to fight for right now. So why break it down now?
Right.
Why? Because there's more people coming in, because we're getting bigger. Then at a certain point, you got to say, stop.
Right.
You
gotta say
and let's say some people in New Rochelle would say, stop building, stop coming over here, and stop.
Just stop. It's enough. We get it. You keep saying there's not enough housing, but you just built a shelter in the South Bronx, a men's shelter. We was out there the other day, a men's shelter. Brand new. You built it brand new.
That's another thing is hard to comprehend. You're closing shelters all over the place, well, the smaller ones. Then you build a massive one, but you build a massive one near multiple other shelters, and then in a location where let's say, the community didn't get a chance to say no, and then and whether they said no or not, you're still going to build it there.
Right.
So how are we not going to fight and get mad at these things?
Right. And I believe so like AOC, I poor thing. I listen to her all the time, and I don't know who's paying her, but you're doing a great job because she's really fighting for you because she is so far away from the average person. AOC is worth like $25 million. She only has $173 salary, $100 a year. She's bought, and if I'm sorry, this is my opinion, she's bought and sold. She doesn't even know what's going on with that shelter that we was at the other day. We're out there in the freezing cold trying to understand why are you, AOC, allowing, but you're worried about the guy in the White House when the local, your people are suffering. And that's the reason why I ran too.
And that's a whole different, issue right there with her. The fascinating part is in her district, although they voted for her to remain as Congress, Trump won in her district.
Right.
So once again, you see the dynamics of stuff like that. Now, unfortunately, for me, I always said this, that the reason why, let's say the other side of the right side has been losing in places like the Bronx is because we need to increase the numbers. They need to increase their numbers to have a winning factor. Right.
You've done that. I remember when we was on the Grand Concourse, and you got like 1,000? Or was it 100?
Well, I wish 1,000. That's a new record right there.
Yeah, right. 100.
Well, at that day was my 100th, new voter registration card. Yeah. And for the party, I mean, that's a big deal right there.
Yes, it is.
And I think there are places in upstate where they can only get a handful.
Wow, that's still.
So, but it's the effort, is the progress being made.
Right.
And it's I'm not doing it for any glory. It's more so that and you're running for office, so this is a good point right there.
Right.
Getting voter registration cards. I tell people, get 50 signatures, because these new individuals are going to be able to pull from your volunteer for your campaign. These people are going to be donors. These people are going to be your support staff and stuff like that.
Yes.
Not to go off topic.
Right.
I do want to throw in a little bit more about some of your platforms that you want to hit on, legislator.
Oh well, I'm like I said, my senior population, in New Rochelle, because that's what I'm representing now. That the county legislator, and I'm running against someone that's been there a long time. But the thing with me is we have 39% in New Rochelle. There's a lot of seniors, and that's a lot. That are all in a lot of nursing homes. When I ran for the other office a year ago, it was hard getting in there. It was hard. They wouldn't let you in.
The gatekeepers,
the gatekeepers. And I'm like, okay, so what do I need to do differently? So I'm kind of working that out. And my husband and I, we both were city workers, and we found out that Edwinna was trying to give us the Obamacare. Was trying to take us out the contract that we signed for when we first came on the job. And now, so those are the issues that, just leave us alone. We're retirees. We have money. We're going to spend it the way we want to, but take your hands off our medical stuff. And that's something that I really was a champion for. And also school choice in New Rochelle. We're paying these high taxes. Why these children can't go, parents? Because if there's a certain section in New Rochelle, it's just like the South Bronx. It's just like it. And they get no services.
So because I don't know too much about that area, so they just had their first charter school put in.
Right.
So it's pretty much all public school. And are you wanting to get parent choice to come in?
To come in a little bit more. You have the old time, I guess the people that have been there for 100 years, a certain culture, demographic that are there, because those towns were more Italian, Irish, and African American fluent, and now there's more Hispanics that are coming in, and we want to make sure that everybody gets a great education. But you have some children that in some places don't get anything, and we want to make sure that diversity it will come to that section of New Rochelle. And that's a thing I didn't, when I ran the last time, I wasn't able to get there because I knew nothing about that section of New Rochelle. And then when I found out they're trying to sell a project to put another high rise and throw all these people out, I had an issue with that. And there was a lot of seniors that lived there, and they didn't want to go into a nursing home. So that's going to be my pet, and it's in my district. My pet peeve, so that's one of my things I stand on for, and I don't know, there was another one, but.
Well, that's fine. I mean, look, and this is a new, running for, say, senator is one thing. This is another ball game. But, people think that just because you're doing more local, it's easier. No, it's a lot harder. Competition's harder. Woo. People are more, you're in line in certain ways.
Yeah.
So, I mean, how are you planning to attack this campaign different than the other ones you've done?
Well, first of all, I'm going to use your game plan. I'm going to use the voter registration cards, because I was thinking about that today. I said, how can we do this? How could this be different? And even though President Trump set an example, you still got to have your flow. So my first voter registration, that's number one. And I believe I'm also reading how to run a campaign.
Okay.
It's good to read that booklet. It gives you a lot of information. So I won't be running around with my having it. No, then I need a manager. I need someone to kind of manage and get into the media and the fake. I didn't know that the first time, so now I could sit back and say, okay, I got a little time, a little bit, but my first thing would be voter registration. That's where I get my volunteers, like you said.
Now, your last election, it was nothing to scoff at because you had a pretty high percentage.
Yeah, that did.
I don't remember off the top of my head, but I just remember.
I know it was 32%.
32%.
Yeah.
32% on your first try. That's not too shabby. And you were going against an incumbent that was seasoned and had a lot of backing.
Yes, a lot.
So, I mean, in that campaign, once again, it was your first, but what did you think you did right?
What I did right, I went to the churches. I went where a group of people are going to be sitting in a space and they'll be able to see me. Then maybe later on after the service, they can speak to me. But I'm a church person, so I've been in church really all my life, so I understand people. And that's the main focus for me is be in the community. Get into where they have the concerts in the summer. If they're having a doggy park, something that's going on, get to know who your people are. Go buy pizza in the pizzeria. Go where, you know, and I hate, you know, they have to say it, but people in the hood, they're people. They're voters.
Yeah.
They'll vote if they see, but you just can't come around that time. You got to be like all kind of year round.
You just hit on three important topics. One, you know, these events that you're talking about, they're sponsored by the legislative bid. So you have a hard sell right there, but you go in and you participate in it, not to be confrontational, but let's say to try to reach the people that, I mean, you know, they're happy that they're there, but they're upset because what's going on around them.
Right.
And then the third part is, you know, a lot of people, you mentioned the HUD. Let's be straightforward. That, you know, historically it's not have been so great into voting in those areas, but they do vote. And, you know, in this last election, you can see the dynamics and numbers of Hispanics and Blacks that have voted that change the game plan for a lot of people. I mean, I was preaching this 2.5 years ago, but, you know, until you see the statistics, then you don't really, now there's people with like, you know, PowerPoint saying, we need to do this. I'm like, bro, I've been saying that, you know, this, like, you know.
Yeah, because I remember you was telling me, and I understand, we got to understand where we at and meet people where they're at, you know, and if you're not, and I'm pretty much, how I'm authentic. I could, when I'm living in, if I go to the south side of New Rochelle, or I go to Throgs Neck, I know all cultures because I was a traffic agent for so long, for 22 years. I got to meet everybody in New York. I worked right here. I've been in the Bronx. I worked in Staten Island. I worked in Queens. So,
well, now that the people you got into them, how can, if you tell the people how they can reach you if they want to get in contact with you?
Well, I just got an IG account. I think it's Edwinna, IG Edwinna 61 or 62 because I don't know.
I'll make sure it gets
get there. Then I'm on Facebook also as Edwinna Herrera. Then I also have Herrera, New York.
Okay.
Someone got that for me. I don't know.
For those that are interested in coming on the show, please feel free to reach out at Gonzalo Duran, nyc@gmail.com. Edwinna, thank you for being here today.
Thank you so much.
And, you know, this is Political Chit Chat. I'm your host, Gonzalo Duran. And as always, God bless America.
God bless America.
Hello, everyone. This is Political Chit Chat, and I'm your host, Gonzalo Duran. I look forward to speaking to you about local and global politics by inviting local candidates, politicians, activists, and community members to the show. If you'd like to be a guest, feel free to reach out at gonzalodurannyc@gmail.com. To get to know me better, feel free to check out my social media at Gonzalo Duran NYC. Until then, and as always, God bless you and God bless America.